Okay, to pick up where the last video left off, I do have my new bushings now. They came in and they are the proper size. So they're very good. And I called Energy Suspension to see, I was going to get the 3-part bushings, but they don't make anything for a 5/8 bolt. So he sent me to a company called Valley Spring Service in Arizona. And they are a super knowledgeable company. This is like one of the best companies I've dealt with in a long time. They knew exactly what bushings I pulled up. I mean, it was like he was looking at my car. He could see it. He's like, oh, you got a 7-spring bushing with 3 flat ones below it. You need a 5/8 and 2 3/4. So for some reason, they know things other people don't know. So this is a great company. They're working on getting some of the parts for the front of my springs too. So if you need spring service, I highly recommend these guys. Okay, now for the part I'm both excited and not excited about. I need to get these brand new parts out of these springs and put the new parts in, the new parts. So anyway, I'm going to get these springs from the table and go about getting these out. I'm going to try to just drive that out first. If I can't, I'll go back to the technique of drilling it. Anyway, like I say, I'm kind of dreading doing this again, but I'm excited to have it all back together. So. Okay, the new rubber seems to drill just like the old rubber, so I got a pal, if anything, more is coming out, so I'm going to flip it over. You can see it's quite a bit came out, so flip it over, do the other side, and try to drive it out. I took my old sleeve that was in the original one and welded it to the bolt to make a punch, so hopefully that's going to work well, but we'll see. Okay, this is where I'm at on the springs. The technique for drilling the old bushings works. On new springs it does not. So I called some friends and did some things, and in discussing things with my friends I realized I had this old, it's a pipe bender from Harbor Freight. It's basically a press. So what I did, I had to modify it. I cut a little bit of it out. I've got a square tube, which is the right diameter on the corners. And then that goes through a piece there, so it's lined up, so that'll go through. So hopefully this will be my bushing extractor, is what I'm hoping. So I've got it just about mocked up. I think I'm ready to try it. So hopefully this will push the bearings out of them, and I don't know if I can use this to put them back in because of the spacing, but getting them out is the hard part. So let's get this set up and give it a try. Okay, that's pushing the bearing right out, no problem at all, but I have this up here, kind of up on here. This thing's really heavy and it wants to sway that way, so it's not the safest setup I have. I just had to try it. So it seems to be working just fine. So when I crank it, you can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's moving. It moves really easy, so it works really good. I just don't want this thing to tip over on me. So I'm going to get this one out, then I'm going to try to make a safer setup, but it works really good. So it's taken me a better part of the day to make this, but it does work, so now I'll have a bushing press. So anyway, I guess it was worth it after 4 hours. But let me make this a little bit safer, and then I'll get these all pressed out. Okay, well that cranked all the way up real easy and came right out, so it actually worked really well. Did a really good job. Pat myself on the back. But now let me get this out of there, because like I say, these things are really freaking heavy. So if I can safely get it out and get another one in there, I can just keep moving along. Okay, the only modification I'm going to have to make, this is still a little tight. I'm getting it out, it's not totally stuck in there, but it's tight, so I need to grind the sides a little bit more, because this was stuck in there, but it's coming out really easy. So anyway, get a little bit more clearance on that, and then we should be back in business and getting these bushings out. Okay, this is the last bushing in the second spring, so it's coming right out. No problem at all. So, turns out this was worth making this tool. Okay, my little press that I made worked perfectly for removing the old bushings. It just pushed them right out. They came out no problem. I mean, it spent me about 4 hours to build it, but I got all the bushings out in less than 10 minutes. So, that worked really good for removing them. But I would have to push the new ones in with this. I would have to have an extra 3 inches of space here, and I can't do that because this is not really movable. So I'm going to have to put them in the old method by pounding them in with a socket, but that went fine last time. I mean, it didn't take very long at all. So hopefully they go in as easy as the old ones. So we're about to find out. I've got to clean up. I made a mess here, so I'm going to clean this up and then we'll install the new bushings. All right, the springs are together with the proper bushings for both sides. They're ready to hang. They have the extra leaves on them. They go on them, and they've got the bolt through them. So now I've got to finally clean up this mess. So we got all of this mess here I'm going to clean up. So I'm going to try to do it in this method. I'll clean this up. I'll get the rear end over there. I'll get the springs hung, and then we'll get it together. So let's try this. Stand right here, and we'll go magic. Okay, we got the rear end all back together. Looks pretty good. We got the shocks on, we got everything on. We got the gas tank just kind of set in place. I got a couple of bolts holding it together. But it all came out nice. I've still got to tighten some things, but it's looking good. It was a long day, but finally met my goal. This is where I wanted to be last weekend, but it didn't work out, so we're pretty good. The only thing mixed up maybe a little bit, but maybe not. These bolts I had to cut down, and it looks like it's touching there, but the thread just barely touches. You can kind of see right there. It's just barely touching. I had one bolt cut shorter. I think I put that one up front and put this one in the back. I think I got it mixed up, but you can see there's space for the most part. So if anything, it's just going to scratch the paint there. No big deal. It's not worth taking it back apart for, but anyway, I'm glad to have this rear end back together. Tomorrow, I'm going to, now that I have it on the ground, I'm going to pull the nut off of that, the pinion, and replace the seal there. So that'll be tomorrow. I may put the sending unit in. Just I want to get things buttoned up here before I set the bed on top of it. But anyway, I'm happy with everything. Everything came out nice, back together. Should be nice and strong, good. So it's a long day, but I am happy. So anyway, I don't even know what to work on next because I've been working on this rear end for so long. I don't even know, so I've been thinking about what to do next. I think I'm going to go ahead and start the front of the frame. Go ahead and drop the front off and do everything. I don't have to do any frame repair on the front. The only thing I have to do, there's some holes that I need the washer savers or whatever you put they repair holes. It's a worn out hole on the mounts on the driver passenger side. So I work on those. So that's probably what I'll start next now that we got the rear end in. Okay, side by side of the shocks, they have the same compression extension, but the tube is much bigger. I guess the top's just a cover, so that doesn't really matter, but it's a much bigger shock, so that should be good. Okay, tonight I'm not really doing much work. I'm just kind of piddling around in the garage. I know I'm getting fairly close to getting the bed over here and getting that on. So I started looking at things. The gas tank's pretty, where it fills, it's pretty close to the frame. You can kind of see it just barely sticks up. But I measured my bed. The bottom of the wood will set 3.5 inches above that, so I have plenty of room there. I may even be able to turn it a little bit. There's a problem. If you remember with this truck, that's a long bed. This is, these Fords, 65 and 66 Fords, four-wheel drive, they're in between short bed and long bed, so they're right in the middle, so they're not long or short. So that bed, I've got to move the fenders forward, obviously, when I do that, but I'm not going to cut the back of the bed. So it hangs out 5 inches past this frame, which makes this a little bit of a reach. So when I'm working on gas, I don't know if I'm going to be able to reach this or not. If I can turn it a little bit, maybe, we'll see. Or when I put the bumper, I'll put a step on the back of it so I can just reach over. It's going to be a little bit of a pain, but I'll figure it out. But the other thing I was looking at, again, this is a Ford truck. That's a Chevy bed. The frame where it bolts on the bottom of the bed, on the Ford, this frame, the holes to mount the old bed, they go across. they're 31.5 inches apart. So I crawled under the bed over here to look at those, the mounts. It's probably too dark to see, but yeah, it's too dark, but you can kind of see that there's the mounts. There's one right there and the one across from it. Anyway, this truck is 31.5 inches, and those mounts in the Chevy bed are 31.5 inches apart. So they're the exact same on a Ford or Chevy. Now I know they're not going to line up front to back like that, but they line up perfectly for the width. So I mean, they're the exact same size, Chevy and Ford. So it's just going to, hopefully it's just going to lay right on there and I don't have to drill new holes. So that's going to be pretty simple. So I'm kind of happy about that part of it, at least preliminary. That's what it looks like. It measures 31.5 inches. These are 31.5 inches. So looks like that's going to be a smooth transition. Like I say, moving the fenders and cutting the step on the front and doing that'll take a little bit of work. But anyway, that's all I'm doing tonight. I've got some parts I'm going to have to order. I did get my brake line here that splits it, and I need to get a mount to mount that here. And the front, the holes are walled out on, I'll show you, on the other side where the spring mounts this bolt. On this side it's fine. On the other side, this has been oblong, the hole. So I've got to get some weld washers, stepped weld washers, to put in both sides of this. So I'm going to get those ordered. And I think I'm going to start the front end next. Will be what I do, because basically from here forward, that's all the frame that's left that needs to be painted. So the frame's pretty much done. So I think I am going to go ahead and do the front end, get that done next, and the steering. I'll get the front end and the steering back in it, and then the truck will be movable, and then we'll just go from there. And the other thing I'm working on, I think I'm going to run the tank this way again, so that'll be closer to the back. That'll help me out. That puts the gas line out of the tank on this side, but the gas line will run on that side of the frame. So this will give me room to run the soft line over there, which will give me room to drop. If I ever drop it, I can drop it down. So that's good, but I also want to get it installed here first, because this will be really hard to get to right here once the bed's on top of it. It won't be impossible, but it'll be hard. So I want to go ahead and get that on, get that clamped on, make sure it's nice and tight, and then just kind of leave it over there and just leave it loose for now. But I'll get that done, and also I want to get the sending unit in and get the wires started, so they'll be easier to work on. So just kind of get things ready for the bed. So once the bed's on it, it's going to make things harder, so I want to get as much done before the bed goes down. Okay, I did try to get this pinion nut off with a breaker bar on my wrench. The problem is I can't get enough movement on it. It hits the frame in either direction because it wants to clock back a little bit first before it really catches when the wheels gets on the cock there. So I can't get enough rotation even with the leverage. It runs into things. So I'm going to have to find my impact somewhere. It's in here somewhere or in the other garage. I don't know where it's at, but I have to find it because that's probably the only thing that's going to get that off, simply. So we'll work on this later. Okay, where we're at right now, I'm waiting on parts, which won't be here till probably the middle of the week. So there's nothing I can really do back here on the rear end. Everything I need to do, I'm waiting for parts. Same on the front end. I have parts for back here ordered. I have parts for my front end ordered because I want to start that next. It'll be the next big thing. And I want to work the bed in the back. Since I want to work the bed in the back, I don't want to take it on and off 100 times. So what I want to go ahead today, this weekend, and prep for is the cab. Once the bed goes on here, I won't be able to paint behind here. So I'm going to go ahead and prep this for paint and probably even try to paint it. And I'll just need to fill in. I'm going to lightly do a little bit of Bondo around here, do a little bit of body work here, just where the bed goes. So this is done. So when I paint the cab, I won't have to try to worry about getting behind it. That'll be done. Also paint the front of the bed as well. So I think that's what I'm going to work on. Like I say, there's nothing major I can do until my parts get here. This I can do, so I think I'm going to do it. I may even pull my window out because I want to pull that out so I can reach in later, and I want to straighten out some of the dents here, just with a dolly and a hammer, get a little bit better. I'm not going to get it perfect, but I was going to get it a little better. So I may knock the window out today. I'm going to save that window. I got new rubber for it, but I'm going to save that. That window's in good shape. The front windshield, I have a new windshield for because it's all scratched up from the wipers. But anyway, I'm going to get this covered with plastic, and then I'm going to start working on this. Okay, I got the corners prepped for a little bit of Bondo. I had to hammer and dolly them just a little bit on a couple areas, but they weren't too bad. Then I went over them with a 40 grit grinder on my grinder, just so the Bondo will heal pretty good. I didn't grind into it, I just kind of lightly went over it to scratch it up pretty good. That way the Bondo will adhere to it well. I think, since I'm doing pretty good today, I'm working on the back, I think I'm going to go ahead and fill my gas cap hole too. That way I can put a little Bondo on that and get that done. I'll just knock off something off the list, and that way the whole back of the cab, minus the roof, this part behind the bed, will be all done. So I think we'll go ahead and tackle that. Okay, I got the gas filler hole cut out. I made a template right here. This is a compound curve right here. So I think I have a plan to make that work out easy. Let's go look. Luckily, I still have a Baja that I'm working on. This Baja came with front fenders. And this is the fender. And it's already kind of curved. So, well, it's already got some curve to it. So we're going to try that. So we're going to be putting some of the Baja into the truck. Okay, I think this is going to work just fine. This has a nice curve to it. I'll lay it in there without even doing any work. And it lays in almost perfectly all around it. It lays nice and flat, so there's no big gap. So I think that's going to be just fine. So I will trim it up and get it in there. And it looks like it's going to work pretty good. Okay, I got everything prepped for Bondo. I got that panel in. It came out good. I roughed it with the 80 grit. So it's ready for a little bit of filler. Cleaned all these with the greaser, all of my seams. So now all I gotta do is mix up some Bondo and put a little skim coat on there and sand it off. Okay, I got the first layer on and sanded. It's coming out pretty good so far. You can see the low spots, so I'll go in and fill those. Coming out pretty good. Overall, it's not too bad. So I just got a few low, you can see the low spots there, a few of them. But anyway, I'll get the second coat on it and get it sanded, and hopefully I'll get a little bit of primer, at least on the spots tonight. Okay, I got everything ready to spray some primer. I'm going to paint this the same way when I do house paint. Whenever I have drywall spots, I'm going to put primer just on these spots first today. A couple coats just on those spots and sand them. That'll help too. If I need more Bondo, like here, you can't, it's already sanded, so if I put more, I'm going to end up sanding what's good. So I don't want to do that. So it's nice to put a coat of primer on it, and then if there's spots you need to touch up, you stop when you see the primer coming back through. So I'm just going to go through now, touch up these spots, get 2 or 3 heavy coats on them, and then tomorrow I'll sand the entire thing and paint it tomorrow. Okay, I got the primer on it last night. For the most part, it's good. The other side is good. I just need to sand it and it's ready. For this one, it's kind of hard to see. There's a little minor body seam right here. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but right here the line goes and it kicks in a little bit, then comes back out. I'm exaggerating it, but I need to put a little bit more filler in there just to straighten this line out. And there's a couple little small imperfections in here that I need to get. You can kind of see. For the most part, it's pretty good. That one I could live with, but I'll go ahead and do it. Fill it in a little bit because it's just a minor thing. But I want this line to be straight because that, you know, like I say, on camera I don't know that it shows up hardly at all, but it's really kind of crooked, so I want that straight. The other side's perfect. So yeah, on this side everything's good. You can see this line's nice and straight, so I'm good with that. The seam's good, so that's all good, and I think this will be good once I sand it down. So I'm going to sand it, and I'm going to sand the whole thing, and then I want to prime a little up just below the window past this belt line. So by the end of the day today, I'll get it primed from here down. Okay, if you've never done body work before, once you have the primer on it, and it's the dark slick black, or it could be gray, it could be any color. Once you start sanding though, the gray area is the part that's sanded off. All these dark spots are your low spots. So you just want to keep sanding. And I'm using, this is a curve, but I'm going in this direction with it and kind of back and forth with it, so I'm being careful not to put flat spots on it. But you just want to keep sanding until these black spots go away, if they will. If you start breaking through and seeing Bondo, then you probably need to put more filler on it. But anyway, I'll just keep doing this until this is all, you want it all be this color gray right here. And this, if a little bit comes through like that, that's fine, that's perfect. but pretty much here you can see there's no dark spots. So you just keep doing that until it's all gray, and then you should be good for the next coat, and it should look good. Okay, you can see this came out really nice. It all went down to gray. If this were like a show car, you'd do a lot more. Like there's a tiny little speck there and right there, which I'm not worried about for this particular project. A few little like dots there. You can see those little dark spots. This is a little bit of a high spot right there. May tap that down, but it's no big deal. It's barely high. It may show on the final paint job. Again, if this was a show car, you would rework all this area here too. So, but overall, it's pretty good. So I'll move on to the rest of the body. Okay, I got it all sanded down, ready for primer on the entire thing. Got the window taped off. Just gonna paint up past the belt lines at the bottom of the window, and I'll sand and blend all this in later. But like I said, I just need to get up to about right there with paint. So I'll be pretty good. But anyway, it's all sanded down. All of my primer, all my Bondo spots are nice and smooth. Little dents, there's dents, especially on the other side. I'm not worried about those dents, little dents. The reason I had to fix these, because this is where the Bondo was, so I don't want it to look sloppy or messed up, so I want that to look good. The dents from age, where they're worn out, they'll be just fine. So anyway, let's get the primer mixed, and we'll get this whole thing painted. Okay, we got the primer sealer on it. Came out pretty good. My gun gave out on me, so I was having trouble with the guns. It was starting to spitter and spit out pieces from where it wasn't cleaned out good enough. I guess it had old stuff in it, I guess, so it came loose. But anyway, I've got a bunch of little specks and stuff. Probably hard to see, well, you can kind of see them there. So I have to sand those. That'll just make sanding it a little bit more difficult. But again, this is not a show truck, so it doesn't matter. But I'm going to have to find a different gun. I'm going to get collar on it today, so I'm going to have to find a different gun. I have several guns, so. But anyway, it came out pretty good. So if it sands out okay, I'll be ready to hit it with some color. Okay, I got it ready for paint. Well, not ready for paint. I still got to clean it, but I got it all sanded down. Went 180, then 400 on it. Everything looks pretty good. I was careful not to burn through the primer. There's a couple of tiny little spots that I did. Other than that, it came out really good. So I'm about to clean this off, wipe it down, degrease it, and then mix up the paint, and we'll shoot some paint on it. So really happy with it. It's probably more than I needed to do for this truck, obviously, but again, and over here on this side, I left a lot of dents. Like here, these I don't mind because these happen naturally. These are like real dents that happen, and again, it's going to be a patina paint job, so these are real dents that happen in it. The reason I wanted to repair down here, because this is repair damage where I welded it, so I don't want that to look obvious, so that's why I took the time to make that look nice and clean, get all the lines straight. I got this line straight now. So, but these dents I don't mind. Like I say, when we paint it, it's going to look like it's an old paint job anyway. Well, okay, after it's set for a few hours, this is what it looks like. Came out good. That's where the gas cap was, so that's nice, pretty. Overall, it came out good. I got a few runs, but they're in the very bottom, which is completely covered. So anyway, I'm very happy with that. Well, the rest of the bed, so starting to look like a new truck. So I'm going to stop this video here. I've got parts coming in, so I can move on. Moving forward with the gas tank, some of the lines, the things that are under the bed. I'm going to try to route my gas filler out the side of the bed underneath. At least if I have room, I'm going to try it. That's why I'm going to be attempt to do that. We got parts for the front end, so I may pull the front end off of it and work on that. But anyway, this is where we'll end this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.